How are you guys doing today? Hopefully, you guys can hear me today. Turn off my alarm. It's 1 o'clock, so we're getting going. Today, I want to talk to you guys about business credit. I want to talk about business credit cards in particular and what is the best route to go by doing that. For those of you who don't know me, I am Jermaine. I'm the owner of Clear and Strategic. YouTube page is called As a Debt Collector because I started in debt collections. That's how everything was started with regards to that. Those of you who will watch this live or even watch it later, hit a comment in the chat if you're watching it live about credit or debt or business credit. I'll definitely answer it for you. Put it in the comment section once this comes up later with regards to that. But what I want to do is talk about credit, business credit. And one of the things I pride myself on talking about when it comes to business credit cards and so forth is I use myself as an example, because everything that I'm talking to you guys about, everything that I'm going to share to you started out with stuff that I learned, that I went through, whether it was trial, error, or something good when it came to getting a business credit card. Now, getting business credit when you're starting a brand new business, the biggest obstacle you're going to have when you're starting a new business is what? It's easy. It's getting funding, right? With regards to your business. And there's two ways that you can actually get funding for your business. You can get it through your EIN number, right? EIN number is like your social security number on the personal side for your business, and getting approved for credit that way. Or the other way is leveraging your personal credit in the beginning to actually go with business. So for me, and what I believe when it comes to starting a business, the first thing you're going to have to do is start preparing and fixing up your personal credit. I know it's not popular. A lot of people say, no. Especially for a while on the internet, it was all about opening up business credit cards and business credit using your EIN number. The only way that works is if you have a business obviously set up, and in this business account, you have funds rolling through that account. And the reality is majority of Americans do not have the funding. You don't have any money. So just using your EIN number, just because you have an LLC, just because you have a business, you have a toll-free number and all of that. When they look at you as a business and you have no income coming in, it's very, very difficult to get approved for a credit card. So what I did was I cleaned up my personal credit first, right? I got my personal credit set up. And I didn't do this on purpose. I just know I was cleaning up my credit, me and my wife's credit. And obviously I owned a debt collection business at that time span. I never used credit, and I had money flowing through that bad boy. But once the pandemic hit, I started doing credit repair because I just didn't feel comfortable having people calling individuals to pay a debt when I knew they couldn't pay their rent. Now, obviously, this is before PPP and all of that stuff happened. So I started As a Debt Collector, which is where you guys are at on my YouTube page. And so within that, I was giving people advice with regards to cleaning up their credit and, tips and stuff that I knew on the debt collection side, and sort of kind of, giving people information with regards to the do's and the don'ts when it comes to your personal credit and dealing with debt collectors. And as time progressed, I kept having people say, hey, man, do you clean up credit? Now, I cleaned up credit, obviously for myself, and I did it for friends and family, but I didn't have it as a business. And eventually, I end up, after about 30 or 40 people asking me to help them with their credit on the personal side, I say, you know what? I'm going to make a business out of this. And so I started Clear and Strategic, which is a credit restoration company. And so when I started that business, out of just sheer I need some capital with regards to growing and scaling this business. And my personal credit at this time, I probably had like a 750 FICO score. And I learned the hard way. So I had available credit on my personal side. At this time, I probably had about 75 grand of available credit, but I knew previous because I had a credit card that had a balance of about 35 grand. And I tried some other little venture and I ended up spending like 17 grand of that. And the next month, instead of paying it off, it took me a little bit of while before I could pay that 17 grand. So what I did was I said, you know what, I'm gonna pay the minimum balance. And I think at 17 grand, I think the minimum balance was maybe 400 or 500 bucks. And then the next month came and I still didn't recoup the money. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna pay the minimum balance again. And I paid the minimum balance. And then probably 2 weeks after that, on the personal side, my credit, they took my line. So I had 35 grand and they took it all the way down to like 18 grand. So I only had 1,000 done. And so that made me so upset. And I thought to myself, why would they take my credit available balance? I didn't use it all and I'm paying the minimum payments. What's the deal? And that's when I learned about credit utilization, right? And credit utilization is the amount that you have on the credit on the personal side. And so you can have as much available credit on the personal side. As soon as you don't pay that balance down to like 30% utilization or lower, and you use a certain amount, they get nervous on that end. And so they'll start shutting down your credit lines. So as I'm starting the credit repair business, I'm like, what am I going to do? You know? And I knew I didn't have any cash. And so I started learning about leveraging your personal credit with regards to building business credit. And I was like, well, what does that mean? And they said, well, you can get a credit card, but you have to give a personal guarantee. And I said, well, what does that mean? Well, with the personal guarantee, you have to actually, they look at your personal credit, do a hard inquiry on your personal credit, and based upon your personal credit will determine what you can get approved for on the business side. Now, the downfall with that is if you get approved, it does not go on your personal credit. But if you default on payments, then they come after you on the personal side. And so in my head at that time span, not really understanding, I applied for the American Express. Hopefully you guys can see this. The American Express Business Plus. I applied for it. I put all my information with regards to my personal side, and obviously my credit was good. I got approved for 10 grand. The reason why I chose this credit card is because they said that it's 0% interest for the first year. So I was like, oh, shoot. All right, cool. 10 grand. I don't have to pay any interest. Perfect. Now I can leverage my credit repair business. And I got some cash. I got some capital. And then immediately after that, the business cash. So this is the business plus, the business cash popped up. And I said, well, you know what? It's been normally you don't want to have more than 2 hard inquiries in a 2-year time span. I had a couple credit cards and I didn't apply for anything. So I said, you know what? Let me apply for the other one. And guess what? I got approved for 10 grand again. 0 interest for a year. And I thought to myself, whoa, this is crazy. They gave me 20 grand. And yeah, I got to give a personal guarantee, but then it works out. I understand business credit before even applying for these, but I knew when I tried to get a business at the time, I just tried to get a credit card. I had opened up the account originally with Chase Bank, and they told me, hey, you just don't have enough. You know, we can't approve you on the business side because you just started the business. We don't have enough. And at the time, as you guys know right now, you see all across YouTube, Chase is giving 50 grand, 150 grand for the business. No docs, no bank statements. They're approving you. But what they're not telling you is your personal credit has to be set up. They got to look at something to determine. Otherwise, everybody will be just running down to Chase, starting an LLC and getting 50 or 100 grand. They look at your personal credit if it's brand new. And so I knew I had something. Now, with building business credit, I'm not saying you can't use your EIN number and start building credit, because you can, right? But what you have to do is start out with net 30 and net 60 accounts. And typically these accounts, you have to buy crap, and it's like a charge account. So whatever you buy, you got to pay it to a zero balance. And typically you got to buy stuff that you don't necessarily need for your business. Why? Number one, because it's stuff that's on there, Uline or whatever the circumstance is, and it's overflated, overpriced stuff, and you got to wait about 6 months. So you got to be buying stuff and paying it off, buying stuff, paying it off. What is the number one issue with the business when you're first starting out? Capital. So why do I want to waste it? I ain't got no money as it is. So start with a net 30, net 60 account is going to be tough. Net 30 means every 30 days, whatever you charge, you got to pay it off. Net 60 means they give you 2 months to pay it off. But if you have no capital, how in the heck are you going to start scaling and growing your business? You have to leverage the personal credit. And so I fell on this as a guinea pig early on, right? And so I was like, oh my gosh, why isn't more people talking about this? Because across the internet, most of the time when people are talking about business credit, most people's personal credit is messed up. So they promote, oh, you can get this and get that and get this on the business. Use your EIN number. If you don't have cash flow going in that business account, it's going to be very difficult to get a loan if your personal credit is messed up. So you got to take care of the personal credit. But when I saw that with these two and I got 20 grand, zero interest, is basically a $20,000 loan, better than a line of credit. If I didn't know this and the bank told me, yeah, we'll give you a line of credit for 20 grand. Normally with the line of credit, you only pay on what you use, right? It's almost like a credit card, because if you had 20 grand and let's say I spent $5,000 investing in the business, whether it was advertisement or whatever the circumstance is, I start, and then I have to pay the $5,000 back. You start paying interest right off the back off of that amount. But if I didn't know what I did by stumbling across and doing this, I would have never done that. I would have took the 20,000 line of credit before I apply for a credit card. But credit cards, American Express, these two gave me 10 grand each. So it's 20 grand, zero interest. And it started from that date. So that allowed me to scale my credit repair business. And zero interest. So whatever I took out, I could pay the minimum, no biggie. Like I was telling you before, on the personal side, I had the credit to start the business. The problem was I knew if I invested in something and it didn't necessarily work and I paid the minimum balance, they were going to short my limits down. And guess what? Credit utilization is 30% of your score. So if my credit utilization at one point was 35,000 and then I use 17,000 of it and then they bring it down to 18,000, I'm maxing out. My score is going to tank. My personal credit score is going to tank. And so I'm not able to do anything. So if I'd have did that and then tried to apply for these cards, because they would have did a personal guarantee, they would have looked at my personal credit and I don't know. You leverage, you over leverage. So this is what I did. And I'm going to go a little step further. So me and my wife, I always use both of us as guinea pigs. About 12 years ago when I was building my credit up, I was $150,000 in debt. I owed everybody. And we ain't talking because I did an investment. We talking because I did what most Americans did. I went and financed a big old TV. I went and financed furniture and all this stuff. And I thought, oh, I could just pay the minimum payment. And eventually that minimum payment skyballs and it rockets up and you can't afford to pay it anymore. And you end up losing everything and going and messing up. So this time around, I'm like, okay, I got these two things. My wife had a business called Frugally Keto. And she had a sole prop. And so I said, you know what? I knew that on the personal side with her, she hasn't applied for no credits because everything, we piggybacked off of each other. Those of you who are married or you have a significant other, I don't care however you roll with it. If you have a significant other, you guys can piggyback off of each other. So as I got approved for a credit card, I added her as an authorized user. When I got her approved for a credit card, she added me as an authorized user. That's how we built the personal side. So we had a large amount of money. With my Clear and Strategic, I had an LLC. I had a toll-free number. I did all the stuff that you're supposed to do within the business. I had a mailing address. It was an actual office that I actually had at the time. I was renting an office. Now I'm at home because it just doesn't make any sense to do that. But with my wife's Frugally Keto, she just started a sole prop, right? Which is what everybody tells you not to do. And It depends on what's going on. If you're doing something where you're not interacting with people who can sue you, LLC helps protect you and as an entity, and it separates the business from your personal. So in case someone tries to sue you, if the LLC is all they can go after, they can only go after that. And typically you file a Chapter 11 bankruptcy and you can start another business, right? But if you start a sole prop, if you're dealing with people and someone sues you, they can go after your personal assets. But with my wife, all she had was an ebook that she was selling. And so I thought, you know what? I want to see if she can apply for it. So and she all the time is how it works. Something will happen. I'll shoot her a text. Hey, here's a link. Apply for this credit card. See what happens. So she applied for the business cash card. And with a sole prop, nothing. All we had was a sole prop, and we did have an EIN number, which you can get obviously right online. She got approved for $3,000. And I thought, okay, $3,000, a sole prop, no business starting. All right, cool. So then I told her right after that, apply for the business plus. She applied for that, and they gave her $5,000. So she got $8,000, zero interest for a sole prop, right? Not an LLC. When she put her address down, she put the home address down. When she put her phone number, she used her cell phone. But they leveraged her personal credit side. And she got $8,000, zero interest and so forth. And then she did a lot with Frugally Keto, sold a bunch of stuff, did some stuff. She, does the whole, Frugally Keto. It's called Frugally Keto, but the keto diet. I remember when she came to me about 3 years ago about that. And come on, as we all know, you can lose weight and not work out. Please, and when she told me, I'm like, whatever. And she told me to try it, and I tried it, and I actually lost like 15 pounds, not working out at all. And that's where you're basically eating certain foods that get you in a keto deficit, and then your body starts using the fat to burn, and you're not eating any sugar, you're not eating any sugar. It's just basically meat, dairy. You can get a lot of dairy stuff and so forth with regards to that, but no pastas, no breads, and none of that. And it actually worked. But nevertheless, we got her $8,000, right? And so I was just like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this. Now I have something. And so what ended up happening is, as I was cleaning up people's credit, or people were going through my private community to get their credit cleaned up, right when they were done, one of the things I've done, if you've ever done a consultation with me, I always tell you, once you get your personal credit cleaned up, start a side hustle. The reason why I say that is whether it's a sole prop, or you go through and you get an LLC, or you even go through and you get incorporated. If your personal credit's done right, when you're starting the business, most people, I don't have no cash. Just open up a checking account. Hit the $50, $100. Chase will allow you to do it for, $50 or whatever the circumstances. Maybe it's higher. Maybe it's like $200. But you can go get approved for these credit cards like crazy. So as I was cleaning up people's credit, everybody, oh yeah, hey, go to American Express, go apply. Use my link. Those of you who are watching this, down below, I have the link for both of these. If your credit's okay, if you got like a 680 or above, your credit cards aren't leveraged. If your credit cards are over leveraged, just pay them down. Start a sole prop, which costs you maybe $50, $100. You go down, get your EIN number, open up a checking account, and I guarantee you'll be able to get approved for these credit cards. And that's the way I go. That's why I go about that way. Most people, you don't want to give a personal guarantee. And I understand it in that aspect. But if you use your regular credit cards and you leave a balance, they're going to just shorten your balances. On the business side, there is no credit utilization. Number one, when you get approved for these, it's not going to even show on your personal credit at all. So if they get a little over leverage or whatever the circumstance is, as long as you're making those payments, you're in the clear, number one. And number two, whether you have an LLC or a sole prop, that's what happens. So let me show you guys something here really fast. I'm going to show you guys something. And this just kept happening. I probably helped, after like the first 7 people, every single person was getting approved, whether it was $5,000 all the way up to I remember one guy, I told him to do it, and because his credit was better than mine and he made way more money at the time, he got 25 grand each card, 50 grand, zero interest. But I never got any. I started noticing, dang, I'm telling people to do this, but I don't have any proof. So as I would do consultations, it was this guy, I'll never forget, this dude named Jonathan, who I knew, I met from like a network marketing group, right? And he didn't even go through cleaning up his credit. Because as we talked, I was like, well, what's your credit like? He was like, how to, he sent me a text message randomly because he knew I was in the credit repair industry. He's like, oh, his credit's cool. Do you know how to get business credit? Or no. Actually, he had something on his credit. He was like, man, my credit's sort of kind of low. And he texted me and he was like, yeah, I'm trying to get a credit card with a high limit so I can help. He has a notary business. And he was like, I'm trying to get a credit card so I can help grow the credit card. And I told him, I go, no. How's your credit, your personal credit? He was like, it's cool. I'm just trying to look for a good credit card that I could probably find with zero interest that I can help start growing his notary business. Those people who do the signs or whatever. And this guy now, he's national. He's making big time money. And I go, no. You don't want to get a credit card. Get a business credit. I don't have no business like where most people go. Let me share you the actual thing he showed me. Here it goes. Jonathan Tran. This out. As you guys can see, look. He texted me. He asked me about it. He goes, for years in business, I started my notary pen 3 months ago, but my personal notary business has 2 years. Would you recommend I pit here? I told him, pit the 2 years. Then he texted me back, approved, Biz Cash 13K, Business Plus 7K. I said, awesome, that's 20K. I'm so happy for you, excited. Thanks, Jermaine. Right off, he didn't even know. And this is a guy who had money going in his business. I mean, at that brand new notary account, but at the end of the day, he didn't know. Hopefully you guys could saw that. Because it shows here, it's showing me. But no, let me get out of that. Hopefully you guys saw that. But that's where it's at. If your credit score is already fixed up and you got it cool, and you got lines of credit on the business side, whether it's revolving credit, which is credit cards, or installment loans, which are like something that has a maturity date, like a car loan, and you're making your payments on time, don't use your personal credit. Leverage it and do it this way, right? And that's what I'm going to talk about today. Just these 2 credit cards starting out. If you have cool credit, down below, I have the links. There's a American Express Business Cash, American Express Business Plus. Use those links, apply, and see what happens. If you get approved, I want you to come back to this video and put it in the comment section. But I've done it for countless people and I constantly do it. Now, if you need to fix your personal credit, I recommend there's another link down below that you sign up for a free 15-minute consultation. Or if you already sort of kind of know me and you trust what it is, join my private community. Those of you who join my private community, I give you 2 one-on-one coaching sessions. It's only $69 a month. You get in, after 1 month, if you got what you need, then you're cool. But it's a DIY credit repair packet. It's Credit Complete Pro. And then those of you, the reality is if somebody's telling you can clean up your credit, we can delete everything off your credit profile, run from them. I always say that. No one can guarantee to delete everything. Sometimes you might have to pay. And I have Debt Negotiator Pro, which teaches you how, step-by-step, how to do that. And then on top of that, there's so much other stuff, and you're part of a community. You get the 2 one-on-one coaches with me. And that's this month only. I'm only offering that this month, where we get on a Zoom, and I look at a copy of the credit report. If we got to draft letters, I write the letters up. I help you write them up. All you got to do is put your name on it, first and second round. By that time span, you'll know what to do. But nevertheless, I'm not trying to sell you. I'm trying to let you know the importance of how business credit works. I always tell people on the personal side, you can get a lot of business credit. I know I have $250,000 on the personal side. The problem is once you start leveraging it, if you don't pay it back down to 30%, they are going to lower your credit limits. On the business side, there is no credit utilization, so it's completely different. So if you do over leverage, you have time to pay it down, especially if you got credit cards and let's say you over leverage 20 grand, you over leverage 12 grand trying to invest on whatever the circumstance is, you got zero interest for that first year. So not only do you get to take your time on paying the balance down, but always have a plan, right? I'm not telling you to go get the business credit and then get it and mess up, because then you'll be back in the same predicament trying to fix your credit. Have a plan with what it is you're going to do. Hopefully you're trying to scale a business, trying to grow some type of business, whether it's a side hustle or not. I had another person who came to me, and you know what they did? I forget the term for it, arbitrage, where they go inside of Marshalls, they go inside of Walmart, they go inside of all those like cheap stores, and they find stuff, and then they take it and they sell it on online, through whether it's through their own websites or through what is it? I don't know why my mind's going crazy right now, through Amazon or whatnot, right? Or through what is that one? I forget the name of the place, but you can go and do that, right? And you can scale it. And then I had another person who used to do that with Marshalls and so forth with shoes, right? You know how sometimes they'll have to sell. There'll be shoes that are worth 100, 150 bucks, 300 bucks. He'll go on a Marshall, scouring the stuff, get the shoes $39.99, $29.99, and do that. And guess what? I got him 2 credit cards. He got 10 grand. And he only had a sole prop, but his personal credit was set up. He went and bought a bunch of shoes from Marshalls and all of them, right? To put up on bid to sell on Facebook Market. And he did a couple other sites. And he bought like 60 pair of shoes. I'll never forget. And he kept the receipts of the shoes. And I said, well, what happens if you don't sell the shoes? I was just curious. I was like, what happens if you don't sell the shoes? You borrowed the money. He said, I'll return it back. I got 30 days to return it with the receipt. So everything he put up on the sell sites and everything, he said he had probably like 70 pair of shoes that didn't sell that month. So he just went and returned them back, took his profit from the shoes that he made off those shoes. And I think he made like 4,200 bucks. And then the remaining amount of money that he borrowed on his credit cards on the business side, he just paid it back off. And I thought, dang, here he was buying and selling stuff. He kept his receipts. He had a spreadsheet of all the stuff. And now this guy, he sells all kinds of stuff similar. He done went from selling shoes. Now he buys storage companies. You see all that stuff online. You bid on the storages, them people who do the storage stuff. He does that. And he already has a store that he sells stuff out of. He does stuff on Facebook Market. He does stuff on eBay is the name of it. Or is it eBay? Yeah, eBay. He sells it on there, puts it up there for bids and so forth. And he has a whole business. He came to me to get his credit set up. Then he started the business, and he didn't know. I told him to start a side hustle. And he was just like, I don't know what to do. I remember he was saying, like, I'm not sure what to do. I said, well, get your sole prop. And when you're ready, here are the 2 links to apply. He got 5 grand, both credit cards, and he would just go to Marshalls and what are those? A couple other stores with regards to, and he started out with shoes. And I remember it was some shoe, a Gary Payton glove shoe. And, they don't even have the boxes with the shoes at Marshalls sometimes. Marshalls and I forget the other names of them stores. But, they're like the outlets, basically. He literally went up in there, saw Gary Payton, bought up all the shoes. I think he bought like 30 pair of shoes. And he kept the receipt because he said in 30 days, whatever he doesn't sell, he's just going to return back to Marshalls and he'll get his money back on the credit card. They'll refund the credit card. And I was just like, oh my gosh, that's one of the things I love about cleaning up people's credit. Because when I tell you to start the side hustle, people are clever and they'll think of whatever it is. And then I'll get ideas and then I can share it with you guys. This dude literally just went and did that. My wife, literally, sole prop. Majority of the people who I tell them to start a side hustle, most people think, oh, I got to have an LLC and I'm nervous and da-da-da-da-da. I'm like, no, I'm just trying to get you some cash on that side. And trust me, it'll build. The dude who did his shoe company, making a lot of money. More money than I'm making now. The guy who I told you with the notary republic, our notary thing, where you basically sign. I knew that type of stuff with contracts and so forth. This guy done went global. He has a lot of notary. So he's like a main notary guy, and he's like a middle guy, and people come to him all throughout the state, and then he charges a fee, and he hooks them up with notaries and areas, big time money. But he started out with the 20 grand that he got. You guys, it's very, very imperative that you clean up your personal credit. Now, there is a way, and once they do this, right, then you get the net 30 accounts and you start building the EIN, which is the social security card, social security number for the business. You go from the sole prop to the LLC. You get yourself a business, whether even if it's a virtual address, a virtual phone number, all these types of things I teach people how to do with regards to building up the business credit. And then you get the net 30 and so forth. Then you can go and finance the cars, or you can get the line of credit just off of the EIN number. And you don't have to worry about leveraging your personal credit. But in the beginning, that's the route that I tell people to go, because you're going to need capital. How are you going to get money starting with the net 30s? You're not. And a lot of people do go that route and they end up hurting. Or they'll end up having to take their personal money that they're making, their 9 to 5 or whatever the circumstance is, and putting it in the business. Now, one of the things I do teach with regards to it, and I'll give you guys this nugget, those of you guys are watching it or watch it later, is if you're a 1099 employee, then you're a business. Get an LLC, have that money deposited into there. If you have a sole prop and you just barely opened up a business account, but you're working a 9 to 5 and you have direct deposit, you can direct deposit that into the business account. What the business wants to see is some cash flow going through. Yeah, Jermaine, well, how do I pay my bills? Pay it out of the business. You paying whatever bill you're gonna pay it out of the business, right? Just the same way you will operate the regular checking account. Do it out of the business account. Pay those bills. When the bank starts seeing that, you start out with this, and now you start scaling. Now you got cash coming in, and then you got your money deposited in there. When you go get those credit lines, now that you already got a credit account established with them, then you can start getting the 50 to 150,000 lines of credit and so forth, because you're scaling it. But in the beginning, you're going to have to leverage that personal credit unless you got money. If you got money and your credit's messed up, I don't know why, but it does happen. Actually, a business partner of mine who I actually bought my debt collection company for, I worked for him, I bought half of it, and I bought the rest. He was like anti-credit. He never wanted to deal with credit because his parents had a bad experience with it, and credit was bad. So that's why when I started my debt collection company, I was under his tutelage. So I never opened up any credit lines. And the reality is I should have, because I could have had so much more money instead of using my cash with regards to stuff. And I could have gotten so many points and so many benefits from credit cards and using credit, but leverage and using it responsibly. My motto is use your credit cards like debit cards, even the business ones. Use them like debit cards. So as you're racking up these points to do whatever it is you're going to use them for, you could do that. But his credit, same thing. He was a dude who made 50 to 100 grand a month, not a year, a month, and he never dealt with credit. And later, when I started doing the credit, because in debt collections, credit repair is the enemy. So, and we're really cool. We're really good friends and so forth. But he would jokingly say, oh man, Jermaine done went to the other side, because credit repair was a lot better for me, right? I feel 100% better helping people fix their credit than calling them to pay their debt. Now, I made way more money getting people to pay debt, right? But I always had a bad feeling for the longest. A couple times I almost walked away from the business just because of the way it made me feel and how I felt. Not because of the money, but how I felt. And when later down the road, I remember him coming to me and saying, hey man, he from California, now living in Utah, got all this land, all this stuff. And he was like, you know what, man, I'm starting to listen to you on the credit side. It's starting to make sense with regards to credit. And, now he's building business credit. And we talking about a guy who got millions of dollars, credit lines all over the credit, all over with regards to that. But it all started with that. A lot of the people that I helped are doing far better than I am. And I don't even care, because I congratulate, because of the knowledge that you get with regards to everything it does. That's what matters. And those of you, if you got bad credit, you got to take care of it. Once you get your credit in the 700s, go to a business side. because that's where all the money's at. That's where you can leverage. That's where you can really grow with regards to stuff. Now, I'm not talking about getting business credit and messing it up. I'm talking about actually leveraging the credit, taking what it is that you leverage and going to the other side with regards to stuff, right? Personal guarantee in the beginning. This is from experience. This is exactly how I did it, not even knowing. I happen to be in the tutelage of American Express. And so I just typed business credit cards. And then I saw in the mail, oh, you got to give a personal guarantee. And I thought, what does that mean? Went on Google. What is a personal guarantee? Oh, that means that they're looking at my personal credit. And if I do bad by these credit cards, if I go negative, then they're going to come after me on the personal side. I thought to myself, well, what's so bad about that? I'm doing good on the personal side with regular credit. Why does it matter if I have to give a personal guarantee? And then as I learned the game, I said, well, why isn't everybody doing that? Why is everybody always talking about getting 50,000, whatever, and using your EIN number? Oh, because they have bad credit. Okay, that makes sense. But if you have bad credit and you're trying to build a business, unless you're like my one friend, majority of the people who have bad credit on the personal side ain't got no money. So you're not going to be able to build anything on the business side. And if you have money, fix your personal credit. And if you need help with that, there's a link down below to get that going. But this is the business side is the game, right? And then once you start building these up, then you can move on to the credit cards that only use your EIN number. And guess what? Hopefully you don't have a sole prop, and chances are you're not going to get approved for any credit unless you're leveraging your personal credit with the sole prop. But then you switch over to the LLC. And then when you start making a certain amount of money, you're getting over a certain threshold, 50 grand, a year, a couple grand a month in the account, then you want to switch to, from an LLC, you want to make it incorporated. You want to get it incorporated and go up from there. And then what you do, once you have, even if you just have the LLC, once you have the LLC and you got the cash flow and everything going on through it, then you start transferring stuff. Now, on the personal side, if you have a car, you get it in a business name. House, put it in an LLC. Then that's how you start protecting stuff. I always tell people, my 15 years in debt collections, I'll never forget, for so long I was just collecting, and I was collecting on credit cards, and I was collecting on, regular accounts in general, balances anywhere from $100 all the way up to about, 5 to 10 grand. And I always tell people when I was in debt collections, I didn't know till I got into our legal department and they start doing suits, and we got, people are on $100,000, $50,000 and credit cards. And I remember thinking like, dang, people have credit cards for 50 grand. This was at this time. I didn't know that you could have a credit limit that high. The hardest people to collect money from were millionaires. You couldn't get no money from them. You want to know why? Because they understood money. So all their money was hid in LLCs. Back then, I didn't understand how they did it, but I just knew that. I knew the easiest people to collect money from, unfortunately, were single moms, right? Why? The single, full working mom, because she's working. So she don't want to get her wages garnished. She's barely making enough money to do stuff, but they're going to figure out a way to pay the debt, right? Because they don't want to be sued. The hardest people to get the money from was the millionaires. And I learned that early on, later in my debt collection career, because they were hiding their money. I remember going to the attorney like, hey, man, why is it this guy got millions of dollars? They make millions of bucks. I thought it would be a drop in the bucket to get the money. He's like, nah, because they understand money. They know how to hide their assets. So when you get a judgment, right? When a person gets a judgment against you, anybody who's ever had a judgment out there, I know, because I have a video out talking about what to do after a judgment. And I remember there was a time where I was getting calls for consultations. I'm thinking people want to sign up. They just want advice with regards to them being served. Once you get served with a summons to appear in court, if you can avoid and pay outside of court, do that. But once you get a judgment, they can do a wage garnishment, they could do a bank levy, they could do a tilt tap. Tilt tap. I like the tilt tap. I'll never forget. I had a barber when I was in collections. There was this barber who I told him he owed like 17 grand. I was like, hey man, we need to get paid. He owned his own barber. He had his own business. So it's not like I could garnish his wages, right? You know, I didn't know his bank account. You could do a bank levy. So I would have to find his bank account and know when he had money in there to take it out. And he was a smart dude who was running. And I remember telling the attorney, like, hey, man, I don't know how we're going to get the money from this guy, because everybody else, we were doing wage garnishments or bank levies. And he was like, well, what does he do? Oh, he has his own barber. Do you know where it's at? Yep. Oh, okay, we're going to do a tilt tap. You know what happened? They sent a sheriff in his business. And for that day, for a lot amount of time, whatever we paid for the sheriff, he sat there and all the money that was made had to go right into his hand. Now, you know, everybody could pay through all, you know, electronically. But at that time, man, it was a cash type business. And so he didn't even have to go to the bank. He just had a wad of money. But that day, that sheriff sitting in there for that sheriff was in his office for about 30 minutes. The dude immediately called me up and paid the debt. And that's what a tilt tap is, where they basically go inside your business, whether it was that or any type of business. You own a grocery store. I've seen where they've done that with a grocery store. It was a privately owned grocery store, you know, like a mom and pop's one. And they went in there, and that day they took all the cash that came in for the day. We got credit for it, and they took it. And that's the mid-level person. But that millionaire, I knew he owned a lot of stuff. I knew he had the money to pay it, because even at one point he gave me a $5,000 payment like it was nothing. But they're the hardest people to get the money from, because they understand how to hide their assets. And so that's the plan. That's one of the things I sort of kind of teach you. Put everything in the LLCs, put stuff in trust, right? So that you as an individual is broke. You don't have nothing on paper. So someone can come sue you. They ain't going to be able to get nothing. Your house is protected in the trust. Your cars are protected. Your assets are protected. So when they come after you, they don't get nothing. And that's when I learned that aspect of it. And then when I got in the credit game, I was just like, oh, so that's what they were doing. That's what he was doing, right? Your average person just don't have the knowledge and understanding. If you're in here right now, and I think there's one person, and you have a question about credit or debt, throw it in the chat. I don't think you should have to pay. I was wondering, because I see this little money thing on here. You want to donate, click the money. You could do that if you feel like I'm giving you that. But the chat should be absolutely for free. You have a question about credit or debt, I just put hey in there. And it's from me. If you have a question about credit or debt or business credit, throw it in there. I'll answer it for you, help you out with regards to your credit journey. But that's what I'm talking about. Leverage, get your personal credit set up, leverage the personal credit, get yourself some of these credit cards. If your personal credit is cool, it just has to be okay. No late payments, no collection accounts. Click the link down below and apply for both of them. Apply for one at a time, obviously. I only got one hard inquiry by doing both, because you did it normally if you do it within a 30-day time span, it's from the same company, they're going to hit you twice. They'll hit you once. And once you do it right after that, they'll go right after that same credit that you had and give you the next line. And most of the time you get the same amount. The guy that I showed you, he got 13 and 7. I don't know why they did the fluctuation with regards to him. I don't know what was going on with his personal credit. But he got 20 grand still, you know. I got 10 and 10. He got 13 and 7. My wife got 3 grand and then 5 grand, right? A bunch of people, a couple of people got 25 and 25, 0% interest. Scale the business. Once you scale the business, you have cash flow, then start using the EIN number, start switching everything over. You know, some of you guys might have a car loan that you're paying. Switch it over to the business side so it gets off of your actual personal credit, right? And then if you're trying to apply for a home, your debt to income ratio goes down because it's not showing that. And then if you have credit cards over leveraged, when I bought my first car, I had credit cards over leveraged, but it was on the business side. My personal side credit was superb. So when we got approved for the car, it was perfect, right? My credit on the personal side was perfect. I remember the the real estate broker, when he looked at my credit, and the mortgage person, what are they called? Mortgage broker looking at my credit and like, dang, man, how much money you make? Dang, you don't have no bills? You ain't paying nothing? I was like, oh, I just pay rent. My debt to income ratio was so low. They're looking at my credit cards and like, dang, you ain't got none of these leveraged out. You ain't got no student loans. How the heck? Because everything was hitting on the business side. They didn't know that because they can't see that when I got approved for the house. Then you get approved for the house on the personal side, and guess what? You put it in a trust and you protect it. LLC or trust, and then you protect it. Get approved for the car. They come, boom, get a very low interest rate. Then you put it on the business side, especially if it's paid off. You protect your assets. That's the way to go. I don't know if people are teaching you guys this, but you have to. Most people are just telling you stuff. They're exploiting people who have bad credit and bad situations, right? You could get approved. You can possibly go and do those types of things. But do you want an interest rate of 28, 29%? You don't want that. So take the time to fix the credit, whether you're doing it on your own. I'm not telling you go through me. Do it on your own. It may take you a little bit longer, but do it on your own. Hey, fix your credit, however you're going to do it. But if you want help, then use my link and sign up, right? Become part of a community with other people who are fixing their credit. And then you get the one-on-one coaching sessions with me. Ain't nobody doing that for $69. Guarantee you. Even if they got the same price as mine, try and see if they're going to get on a Zoom call with you and talk to you and help you and give you a plan and structure with regards to fixing your credit, coaching you on that aspect. Ain't nobody doing that. Even if you pay a lot, I paid $6,500, not for my credit, but for something else with regards to a business. And in my head, I'm thinking I'm going to be able to get one-on-one help from this lady. It was a lady and a man at Digital Trailblazers, and I don't knock them with regards to their business or nothing. And so they're like, yeah, you get one-on-one, you're going to get coaching from us. And I thought one-on-one, I'll never forget, we go on this Zoom call, there's 30 people in the Zoom. And you want to know how my question got answered? They did it, first come, first serve. Put a chat in. They told me, here, chat, whoever first comes, as I see the chats, will answer the questions. I'm like, God damn, I paid you $6,500 and I gotta race people for a question to get a question in, to get my answer answered. That's not cool. I'm giving you that now, but this month only, because I understand it. As time progresses, it becomes too much. When your business gets so big, it becomes too much, right? And you don't have time for that. You gotta build and scale your business unless you got people to have. If you got 1,000 people and you're trying to do one-on-ones with 1,000 people, it's like impossible. There's only 30 days. You break down 30 days. If you did it every hour, it's eight hours, right? It's 8 people that you can get in a day. 1,000 people, 8 times what? 30 is what? 8, 16, 20, 240 people? That's not even close to 1,000. So I understood why the lady who I work with at Digital Trailblazers, why they did it the way that they did it. I'm small right now. There's only 71 people in my private group. And I've already done the one-on-ones with majority, almost 75% of those people. And I'm opening it up again because I know it's going to, I'm going to get, after 25 people, I'm going to shut the one-on-ones down. But it's still worth it. You're going to get step-by-step how to clean up your credit. There's 126 different learning tools in there. On top of being part of the community, I talk about budgeting, which is very, very key. I have a video teaching you how to do those things. I have a video with regards to the codes, right? Asking the FCRA codes with your letters. When you're sending out disputes, it's one thing to send a dispute out and say, this account is inaccurate because the balance is not right. It's another thing to say this account is not accurate because the balance is not right. And then you accompany it with the actual 15 USC code that goes with it. The credit bureaus know you mean business once you start using those codes, especially if you're using them correctly. So being part of my community, you get access to that. So as I help you for your first and second round, by that time span, if you have to send a third or fourth round, you know what to do. And you have all the codes with regards to helping you. And then, like I told you, you're not going to get everything deleted. It's just not going to happen with credit repair. Now, me personally, yes, That's what screwed me up the first time, 15, 16 years. I'm 43 years old. So 15 years ago when I cleaned up my credit and I heard that you can just go online and dispute an account and say no knowledge of the debt and it'll come off. I had 5 accounts and all 5 came off. I didn't learn anything, but it all came off. And I said, oh, you know what that made me think? Oh, next time around, I'm going to be able to do this. And you know what I'm going to do? If I mess up, I'll just dispute the accounts. And 4 years down the road, I messed up again because I didn't learn. And I screwed up my credit again. And then I tried to dispute no knowledge of the debt. And I did it online just like I did it 2 years previous. And then I didn't know when you do disputes online, it hurts you. It messes up everything. You never want to do a dispute online because whatever outcome, if they verify the account, you check a box which states that you won't do any more disputes after that. That's why they make it so convenient for you to do disputes online. But I'm going on the credit side and we're talking about business credit, but you got to get your personal credit set up first. Unless you got money. If you got money or you started some type of side hustle and you got money, you started cutting people's lawns or whatever, you got some contract and you got money, okay, then yeah, you could get away with not cleaning up your personal credit. You could start on the business side with the net 30s and then build out your EIN number and get the credit lines. But most of us ain't doing that. Nobody got that. You got a unique capital. So fix your personal credit. And once you fix the personal credit, you got, at least 3 credit cards and you got some type of installment loan. So you got 3 revolving loans, 1 installment loan. Revolving loans are loans like credit cards. Once you pay it, you get the loan. Like if you got a $5,000 limit and you use $5,000 and you paid it to 0, you got the loan again. You got the $5,000 again. So those accounts last forever. And then you have installment loans, which have a maturity date, right? You start out like a car loan. You get $15,000. You're paying $200 a month for 6 months or whatever the circumstances. Once it's paid off, you don't get 15 grand again. But that's an installment loan. They like to see credit mix. Get 2 credit cards, that credit mix, FICO score at about 680, no late payments, no collection accounts. Go apply for these. Leverage. Start the side hustle first. If you got to just get a sole prop business, something small, something simple that you don't have to worry about getting sued on, right? Because if you getting into something where you're dealing with people and someone could sue you, you want to get an LLC to protect yourself. But if not, start out that way. It's what my wife did. It's what a lot of people I've done it with. The video I showed you guys. That's how they start out, but you got to get the personal credit. The personal credit is not done. You got to put an investment. Credit repair is not another bill. It's not just another bill. It's a down payment on your future. And when I say your future, the end game is the business side of things. And these are the 2 credit cards you can start out with. And those you have good credit, if your credit is cool, start the sole prop, go down, pay, the fee down at your local courthouse where you go get your birth certificates at and so forth. It's the same place. You can start a sole prop. You pay 50 to 100, it's like 39, 50 bucks. And then you have to publish it in the newspaper. That's how it is in California, to make sure that the name is not used by anyone. And once you do that and you do all of that, all you have to do is have those paperwork go right onto the IRS website. It's absolutely for free. You can get your EIN number, give them the information with regards to that. Then you go to the bank with your EIN number and then the proof of your sole prop, and you can open up a checking account. Once you open up that, you could be living at home and you can use your cell phone, your home address, which is what everyone tells you not to do. But with the sole prop, it don't matter. You can do that because you're leveraging your personal credit with a sole prop, and you can go and get you these 2 credit cards on the same day. 0 interest for the first year. And how much you get approved for will be based upon your personal credit. But you could do that. And when you guys are ready to do it, just come back to this video, use my link, and apply for it. And once you get approved, whatever you get approved for, whether it's $1,000 or $50,000, put it down in the comment section to encourage other people, man. Knowledge and information is the key, right? I could be sitting back and not telling you guys this information and saying, and knowing that I did it and gatekeep it, right? Or charge you a large amount of money to get this information. I'm not doing that because I've stumbled upon this on accident. Now, I think maybe if I paid someone and they gave me this information, maybe I would be a little different about it. But I stumbled on it and then I got it. And then I helped a lot of people. Like I told you, I had literally, I could count, it was at least 7 people who came to me for credit repair. And I look at their credit. They started out paying. And I looked at their credit and I'm like, oh, you just over leveraged on your credit cards. Pay your credit cards down. Hey, man, here's your money back. Once you pay your credit cards down, start a side hustle. And they would literally, people would come to me with regards to questions about business credit, sign up for consultation. I'd be like, well, what's your personal credit look like? Oh, I got a 730 and my credit's cool. And in their mind, they think I'm trying to get them to start cleaning up the credit. Oh, your credit's cleaned up. Boom, I shoot them these links. All right, here, boom, 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 go to American Express. And this, I wasn't even getting nothing at the time. Now I'm trying to get something. I get a little credit and you get a credit by using my link, but it don't cost you anything. But at that time, somebody get it. Oh, what happened? Oh, I got approved for 25 grand, man. Thanks. I'm like, all right, cool. Thank you. Go on to the next person. This is the game, man. Get your personal credit set up, then the business. That's just the way you have to go. Your personal credit, I don't care if you're in the 400s, 500s, your credit's messed up. You got to fix that personal credit. Credit repair is just not another bill. It's a down payment on your future. The down payment is getting to the business side of things. And it don't matter. I mean, you can have the personal side, the credit lines. I have credit cards on the personal side. I got 13, 14 credit cards on the personal side. But I realize as you're trying to leverage, most people you have though, you think, oh, okay, yeah, I could just use my personal credit for this business venture. You know, I saw some type of investment or something. If you don't pay that balance back down to 30%, they're going to cut your credit limits. I'm telling you now, because it happened to me and I was so upset. And then my credit score went from a 780 all the way down to like a 600 because I was over leveraged on my credit cards. And that's happened countless times. And then I realized, oh, that's why business credit matters, because you can over leverage. There is no credit utilization on the business side. If you were to look at a copy of your business credit, there is no section for utilization. On the personal side, it's 30% of your score. Your payment history is 35, and how leveraged you are on those credit cards is 30%. That's 65. That's more than half of the score. And if you're looking at Vantage, it's even more. I think it's like, oh, it's 60%. 60%, because your credit history is 40%, and then your utilization is 20% on a Vantage score. That's why, for those of you who don't know, that's why your FICO score and your Vantage score sometimes are different scores. They still use the same 5 models. The only difference is they put more emphasis on certain stuff. So if you have a high credit utilization, your Vantage score will probably be higher than your FICO score because they only take 20%. But if you have a lot of late payments, then typically your FICO score will be higher than your Vantage score, even at low scores, because one late payment will drop your credit score 50 to 100 points. One. And that don't make no sense, right? We go to school. If I had 10 questions, I got one question wrong, I'm going to still get a 90%. But in this credit game, you can't have no late payments. One, I get a lot of people, well, I've had them for 10 years. I was late one time. What's the big deal? No, they don't want you late one time, 50 to 100 points. But you got to get the personal credit set up, you guys. All right? Are there any questions? Any questions in the chat? Throw it in the chat. You ain't got to pay no money. If you want to pay, hey, I'm all open for that, for the information. But you could throw a question in the chat if you have a question about credit or debt, my private community, business credit, anything. Throw it in there. Otherwise, if you don't want to throw it there, you want to get on a 15-minute consultation, in the description in this video. 15-minute consultation for free. Sign up for that. If you think you could possibly get approved, you think your credit's cool enough, use one of those 2 links. Use them both. Use one. If you get approved, whatever you get approved for, if you get approved, chances are 90% chance you're going to get approved for the other one as well. So do them both. But sign up for one, see if you get approved. If you don't get approved, don't apply for the next one, because you're not going to get approved for the next one. But they're looking at your personal credit. Chase, all that stuff right now that you guys see, it's there, right? So that's what it is. So if you have any questions, put it down in the comment section. I'll answer those questions. Hopefully, whoever just joined now, you're not brand new. There will be the playback. Check it out. Check out the links with regards to that. You guys be great.